Tim McNamara, an apple farmer from eastern Washington, has been shot in the back of the head. But who did it? As he lays bleeding on the porch outside his Belizean home, he's cradled by his wife, who also just happens to be his niece, Tracy Nessel McNamara.
And I said, Mac, get up. And he didn't get up. And I went and I kind of maybe moved him, Mac, come on, but I never saw blood. I didn't see anything, so I still didn't know really what was going on at this point. And so I screamed for a long time.
A very long time. It will be nearly 3 hours before an ambulance arrives, and not because of traffic.
You had a phone in the house,
We had a landline.
but you didn't dial 911.
No, I didn't think about it. I didn't know.
And during all that time, Tim McNamara is alive, but just barely.
I got a blanket because it was raining. And I laid with him. I laid with him. I spooned with him. I laid on top of him.
By the time paramedics arrive, it is most likely already too late to save him. Tim later dies in the hospital around 11:30 that night, a full 5.5 hours after when police reports say he was shot.
Why didn't you call emergency right away?
Because I didn't know what to do in that country.
Soon after Tim is pronounced dead, Tracy reaches out to his son Caleb to give him the news.
He texts back and said, did Dad kill himself? And I said, I don't know why he would do something like that, because again, at this time, I don't know what happened. I have no idea what happened. Did he fall? Was it an accident? Was there someone else out there? Was it me?
Caleb is on the next flight out.
He went to the morgue. We both went to the morgue to identify the body.
The following day, police in Belize bring Tracy in to ask a few questions about the tragedy.
Did you feel like you were a suspect then?
No.
Tracy says she told them she believes Tim most likely took his own life over money concerns and personal trouble related to the family drama, and her attorney agrees.
All the evidence points to suicide, all of it, no question about it.
But police in Belize also question Caleb.
I don't know what conversations transpired in Belize with Caleb and the officials.
But they don't appear to be favorable to Tracy.
And Caleb said, I highly recommend that you leave Belize now.
Advice Tracy readily accepts. She quickly catches a flight back to Soap Lake, Washington, and 2 weeks later, Belizean officials release their forensics report.
And that's where it changed. Then I became a suspect.
The National Forensic Science Service Ministry report is damning for Tracy. First, it claims there was blood spatter on Tracy's shirt. Second, it states there was no gunshot residue or blood present on the victim's hands. Third, it finds that based on the bullet's trajectory, the person who fired the shot was shorter in height and standing behind him. The conclusion? All right there in black and white. He was not the one who fired the shot, causing the wound. But Tracy's attorney is quick to discredit the report.
What's on Tracy's shirt is transfer. It's not spatter, it's not blowback. And then he makes a big deal out of the fact that there was no blood on Tim's hand. Tim was laying in the rain. Tracy was desperate, couldn't get anybody to come for almost 3 hours. He's in the pouring Belize rain for 3 hours. You expect there's supposed to be blood on his hand?
But what about the report's findings that make it seem impossible that Tim could have shot himself?
If you shoot yourself here and you turn your head this way, the path of the wound would be totally consistent. It doesn't prove homicide by any stretch of the imagination.
Rebuttal?
I don't want to laugh on national TV, but that is not my understanding of what happened. In fact, we have made a paper gun in here, cardboard gun, and we've been trying to shoot ourselves the way that he would have had to shoot himself in order for it to enter and exit the way it did. We can't contort ourselves quite enough to make it happen.
So who shot Tim McNamara?
We allege that Tracy Nessel did.
After reviewing the forensics report, Tim's children, Caleb and Jennifer, are convinced Tim was killed and that Tracy did it. Soon after, they hire attorney Karen Kohler to help build a case.
The motivation was financial. That's our allegation.
According to Washington state property records, Tim transferred over all of his properties in Soap Lake, Washington to Tracy. That includes his apple orchard, farmhouse, and 2 additional nearby parcels of land.
A man who his entire life was building a legacy for his children, and within the matter of months gave away literally a couple $1 million of all of his assets to this person.
And over the course of the next 2 years, the McNamara children claim Tracy rendered their millionaire father penniless.
He completely lost his financial security in that period of time.
But while Tim may have been broke, Tracy was not. After his death, it's uncovered that there are 2 life insurance policies worth almost $500,000, all in Tracy's name.
From the time she entered his life took a complete turn for the worst. And then he dies in a way that is not consistent with suicide.
Reinforcing that conclusion are reports later gathered from Tim's longtime friends, including this statement from childhood pal Dale Pixley. To be clear, Tim never expressed any wish or intent to kill himself or any thoughts of ending his life. As for those depressed emails to his kids, which may have suggested a suicidal state of mind,
Did you interpret at all those emails between Tim and his children where he said, you know, I've really enjoyed being your father, I've always loved being your father, as if that was a goodbye note? Do you read it that way?
No, I could pull you up hundreds of things I've written to my kids like that.
but still, Tracy maintains Tim must have killed himself, and she says it's not like he didn't have some very serious issues weighing on his mind, including this stunning claim apparently made by Tracy's own mother.
That Tim had molested me as a child.
That's right, Tracy's own mom has accused Tim of abusing her when she was just a young girl.
But I have no recollection of that, nor do I believe that that ever occurred.
However, it wouldn't be the only time Tim was accused of such offenses. Let's not forget the allegation made by his own granddaughter shortly before he died.
There are allegations against Tim McNamara that he allegedly sexually molested some younger members of his family, nieces, granddaughters. And that's one of the reasons he may have wanted to kill himself. Is there any truth to this?
No.
But if Tim didn't do it, why in the world would Tracy's mother make such an accusation?
Was there anyone else who had had a relationship with Mac that is close to you?
No. Oh, my mother. Younger. They were younger. They grew up in the same community in Soap Lake.
So your mom had a relationship.
I don't know what kind of a relationship. Maybe they were boyfriend, girlfriend. I don't know.
And you're absolutely sure he didn't molest you as a child?
I don't absolutely know anything, if he did or he didn't.
But that isn't something that you worry about?
Well, if it happened to me as a child and I don't remember, it hasn't affected me.
But Tracy's own attorney isn't so sure. He believes she was in some sort of emotionally abusive relationship when it came to Tim.
I would like to think that's not true, that Tim didn't molest Tracy. But I think Tracy's mother is very wise, very wise. And mothers know more than daughters.
Caleb and Jennifer's attorney calls these latest molestation claims a distraction from the fact that Tracy murdered Tim, and now the children have filed a wrongful death suit against her.
We believe that she unduly influenced him. She gained control of all of his assets, convinced him to make her beneficiary on all of his life insurance, and then we believe that she killed him.
Up next, is Uncle Tim and Tracy's marriage even legal? And is this new lawsuit based on evidence or one plaintiff's very personal vendetta?